Welcome back to Comedy or Worse. I'm here with a very special guest,
Raul Villaseñor.
Yay! Alrighty, so how are you doing today?
So far so good. It's Columbus Day, so I had the day off. I figured, you know what? Might as well spend my day with Aaron.
Wow.
Why not?
Super cool. Yeah, we're recording this on Columbus Day, I guess, and it'll be a little while until it comes out. But that's okay. Let's see. Where are the questions? Well, how did you get started in comedy?
I've always had an interest in stand-up since I was a teenager. But the first time I ever did an open mic was January 2019. And from there on, out in the desert, there's a promoter that would do about 2 to 3 shows a year. So that's all the real practice I got.
Yeah.
So shout out to Juan Molina, What's Up With You Comedy Productions. So I did that for a while, and then it was more of a kind of like a hobby. It wasn't really taking it seriously, but I would try to write jokes on and off for throughout the last 5 years. And then I just moved out here to San Diego in last November. And finally in July, I realized, you know what, might as well give it a try out here. Go look at the open mic scene, see what's out there. And that's, pretty much how I started. And I've been doing consistently, a couple open mics a week since July.
Cool.
So,
yeah. So, do you use the stage name or?
I just use my real name.
Cool.
It might be complicated for some people to pronounce my last name, but I figured, hey, you know what? There's a lot of Mexicans here, so I might as well get used to it,
Yeah. Sweet. So did you get, once you started doing consistently, did you get addicted to it, or?
I found an interesting shift when it comes to audience, because out in the desert, the audience members were paying customers. So you knew right off the bat whether or not that joke worked, because they will let you know. So I felt at that time, the pressure was real, because you would bomb, I would bomb, and it's like, wow, I know this is not working, this sucks, let me try it again. And it would take another 5-6 months until I went up on stage again, and I kept what I knew would work. So it was easy to kind of get rid of, this is not working, or maybe I could try it again, I'll just do it differently. And I guess getting that honest audience reaction was something that, wow, this is great. But then I came here to the open mic scene, and I saw how it works. I'm like, wow, it's totally different. So it took some while to adjust. I guess the expectations of it, And at least here, I think it's been challenging to get used to it, but at the same time, I feel like it really tests your endurance, your ability, because one can easily say, screw this, F this is not for me, it's tough, it's hard. And I've had nights like that where I'm just or a couple periods where I'm just I'll step away for a week, because it's just so I don't see, I guess you could say, progress. But then I realized I'm doing this for fun, that's really my aim. I'm not trying to make it in comedy, just trying to have fun and be creative, and it keeps me, on my toes. So would I say I'm addicted to it? Well, I don't know if addiction is a strong word, because honestly, because I'm single, I don't have any kids, I'm not married. But if that kind of came into my life, I could see me kind of leaving this behind, because it's not a priority. It's a hobby and it's fun. But sometimes I guess you have ups and downs where I'm really into it and I'll consistently be doing open mics, especially after a good set, and then the audience members, the strangers compliment you on the way out. You're like, wow, this is why I'm doing this. I forgot why I'm doing this, but this is great. This will keep me going. Random comments, hey, you're funny, that was good, or great jokes. You're like, okay, I'll keep going. So I guess it ebbs and flows, but it's fun at the end of the day.
Oh yeah. So what is your writing process for comedy?
I've studied a couple of books, and they offer different exercises. But I guess when it comes down to it, I really focus on writing a fact down, a statement, and then trying to ask questions. And those answers that I give to those questions would be exaggerated. I guess that's where the funny comes in. So I just write a fact, shopping at Costco. And then I write facts about it. Long lines, no parking, free samples. I'm not trying to be funny when I write down these facts. I list them. And then when then I ask questions and I try to be funny when I answer these questions, if that makes any sense. That's kind of like the way I approach it.
Oh, cool.
My answer would be like an exaggerated statement that's probably not truthful, but I guess sometimes the more exaggerated, the funnier it can be.
All right, nice. So who's the funniest person in your life right now?
In my life?
Doesn't have to be a comedian.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking in my life. Very solitary life, but if anything, I would say my mom's dog. He makes me laugh. It's not a person, but, you know, first thought that came to him was the dog. But if I had to pick an individual, I can't think of anyone right now that I'm in contact with, but yeah, I think we've all had like a funny coworker who's naturally funny and amusing and they don't even know. And like when you meet people like that, I'm like, wow, this guy's funny. And he's not trying to be funny, that's just them. They're just naturally like a character. You're like, wow, that person's funny. Or you just meet someone, who, the way you interact with them, that guy's funny. And he's not trying to be funny, but
Yeah.
but someone that I socialize or that I hang out with that's naturally funny, I really don't have anyone. So
Oh, you gotta find them.
yeah, they're out there.
Let's see. So, do you have any hobbies or passions that are not related to comedy?
I used to when I was younger and thinner. Pre-pandemic, I started skydiving. 2019 out in Lake Ellsmore. So that was fun. I did that for a couple months. Then COVID hit. I really enjoyed that. It was
Is that expensive?
It was an expensive hobby. That's why I never went back to it. Also because I'm still fat. But back then, 2019, it cost me about $2,000 to get licensed. Then my used gear, I paid about $4,000. And once you have all that ready, each jump to 12,500 feet. So back then it was about $25. So it adds up. So I did 120 jumps in about a year span. And then I just gradually left it. And other than that, I don't do much.
Did you sell your gear?
Yeah, I sold the gear. I thought about going back, but I realized, you know what, I got to lose a good 50, 60 pounds to keep myself and everyone else safe. I'm like, well, and then I would have to buy my gear again. But the cool thing is that my license is, I guess it's active for life. The only thing I would have to do is pay the membership and jump with not an instructor, but a coach who would just see me as we free fall at the same time, that I'm still know what I'm doing. It's just, he's not there to try to save my life and anything goes wrong. It's just, I guess you have to jump with someone who's looking at you, and I guess once he gives okay, you're good, buddy, then I can start jumping with other people or on my own again. Which is interesting now that I think about it, because if something does go wrong, I guess if anything, he'll just have it on tape, and then I'm trying to figure it out on my own as I'm free falling. But yeah, that's the only real hobby I have. Other than that, just comedy. And I don't do much with my life, honestly. Concerts, I like going to concerts, and now that I'm in San Diego, there's a lot of good live music that I go to. Saw Green Day the other day here at Petco Park.
Wow.
It's a lot of big names and a lot of different venues, so that keeps me also entertained when it comes to hobbies, just listening to live music.
Oh,
Haven't been to the beach, been here for a year, haven't been to the beach.
wow.
Not a beach guy, it's just like, you get sand on your toes, and then you're just kind of like, I don't know, it's not for me, it's just,
Sure.
then you get darker, I'm like, wow, I'm good.
So I asked this to everybody. I don't always know the answer, but when did we meet?
The first time I saw you was at Quantum, probably in July.
Cool.
But I think at least the first few times that I went, you weren't there, because I remember the first time that I went, I'm trying to remember who was hosting. I want to say it was Seabass that was hosting. And then, I knew his name was Seabass, so it wasn't Aaron, but I knew that was associated with you. But then eventually I saw you there at Quantum, either on a Thursday or a Friday.
Cool. So do you wish you started comedy earlier?
Sometimes I do. I was 30 the first time I tried it. I'm 35 now. Probably would have taken a different approach to it.
Yeah.
Probably been a better joke writer. Might have taken it more seriously. Now it's more of a hobby. But again, there were limited opportunities out in the desert. I grew up 2 hours east, so there wasn't really anything out there. If you wanted to do comedy, you either had to go to LA or San Diego. And I guess I was never really passionate enough to, I'm going to move out to the city and try to make it or try to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe because I was always scared and shy. And it was just like nerve-wracking to do it. And I still think back to the first few times I did it, well, it was just a mess up there. Not to say that I'm, not a mess anymore, but at least I feel my progress. And what I mean by that, like, I noticed that when I barely started doing it, that I would have to do 5 minutes in front of a paying audience up to like 80, 100 people sometimes out on the desert. Like my mouth would go dry, like so dry, and I would speak, real fast. At least now I notice that I'm able to kind of slow myself down a little bit more, think and pause, and at least my mouth isn't dry at the end of 5 minutes, So little things like that where like, hey, my mouth is not dry anymore. I think that's progress. So yeah, it would have been nice to have, tried it sooner, but do I regret it? Nah, not really.
Cool. Let's see. So, what's your favorite place to do comedy right now?
My favorite place, I think that fluctuates based on my experience, but I would have to say Quantum would be up there. And again, it's hit and miss because sometimes there's other venues where I'm like, I'm not liking that place. I'm not going to go. And I don't go for a while. And then I go. It's like, hey, it was great. Great crowd. Great reaction.
Right.
And then I'm like, I'm hooked on that one place. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go there again. But again, it all varies because I'm thinking of some venues where, like, if you're number 3 to 7, you're good. You'll get actual audience reactions because they'll hang around. But then once you're number 12, 15, good luck, So I would say Quantum, but I think they all have something unique and special to them,
Yeah. Cool. So what is your earliest memory?
Wow. Maybe about being 4 or 5 years old, learning how to ride a bike. That's coming to mind right now. Because I grew up in Salinas for a while. So I guess that's my earliest memory, trying to learn how to ride a bike. Because all my cousins were older, so they knew how, but I didn't. So I was trying to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably like a memory that pops in my head at the time I grew up and I was living out there.
Cool. So what was your family like growing up?
So my dad is a farm laborer. So we lived in Salinas. Then we moved out to the desert. So that's usually where they grow the crops, vegetables. So when I was 8, we moved out here to El Centro. And then we just stayed there. But my dad would occasionally commute to Salinas during the season out there, which usually out there the season would be right around May till about November. And then everyone comes down to the desert because that's where they're harvesting all the crops. So I did a lot of that. But then once we settled out here, just lived in government housing, Section 8, low-income family. I have 2 younger sisters. Very religious upbringing. So that was my life type of thing. Always kind of arguing back and forth with my dad, being a rebel about it. And then you grow up and you move out and you don't have to go to church anymore. You're like, wow, there's a whole world out there. And then you start experiencing and living that life without, I guess, rules. But there's rules, there's laws, but you realize, hey, I could do much more than what I was prohibited back at home.
Right.
So then it's just like this big, vast, great, world full of activities. But yeah, I guess that was it. But I don't know. I wouldn't know I wouldn't be able to say how that influenced me. I guess I could, but that's just too much when it comes to how I view this, how I view that, and where I'm at in life, and do I attribute anything to that, or is it because of that upbringing that's the way I am? I don't know. But I think everyone that does stand-up comedy, the people that I've met here in San Diego, we all have something unique about us. Like we're all, how do I put this? Like we're an interesting, group of people. I think we're all just, I don't want to say we're all kind of missing a screw, but some people you meet and you're like, wow, I could see why this person does comedy. Or we're just different. Like it takes a special type of person or makeup or thinking to want to do that, Right. Especially at first when you're bombing and you're failing and nothing's working, but you still get up there and you do it. Yeah. And then it builds that confidence and you build thick skin and nothing really I guess takes you down. I don't know. It's interesting how when you think about the psychology of it,
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, like my pretzel joke, I'm kind of tired of it. And then I said, fuck it, and I did it on Saturday. And then, there's just one group of audience people, and they just loved it. And I was like, yes, this is why we do this show.
It's clever. I like it. But yeah, like anything, yeah, you realize after you have some nights that it's nothing but, comics, like, they've heard this, so I know I'm not going to get any reactions out of them. They've heard this countless times.
Sometimes it's like hard to be like, no, this is an open mic / show, and most of the people have heard your jokes a million times, and it's like, oh, this is a new joke. Oh, but they've actually heard this one. Even a new joke, like, you're doing comedy all the time. It's like, it doesn't take very long before they've heard it.
Exactly. At least 3 months in, more or less, since I've been doing this consistently. At least now it's kind of motivating me to try and have a new bit, whether 2-3 sentences each week. I'm like, okay, that's progress. We'll see how that goes, So that's good, because I've had, again, in 5 years, I built 5 minutes that I can say get good laughs, depending how I deliver them, how I'm doing up there.
Yeah.
But it's okay, I need more than just those 5 minutes. I need to try other things, and that's when I proactively write. But then sometimes you'll be writing and you just get tired of it. Like, I don't know if this is funny or not. I'll just put this away, and then I put it away for weeks at a time or months, and then I go back to it. Like, okay, Let me see what's here. I think I still have something here. Let me modify it. Okay, let me change it up.
Yeah, that's cool. So, do you ever do a character on stage?
I think when it comes to me, I try to portray myself as someone who doesn't know the nonsense that I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
So I try to not, laugh and smile sometimes, because I want the audience to believe this guy's crazy. Like, he doesn't know what he's saying.
Right.
Like, is he actually doing that? Like,
Right.
So if I can convince the audience that that's just the way I am, I exaggerate things. Like, my answers are very ridiculous. So it's kind of like, if I do that and I succeed, I can tell because they've laughed. Like, I have a joke where I talk about, I live in a bouncy house. That's never happened. But if I can deliver it, honestly, and make people believe it's real, and they look at me, I'm like, they'll laugh. And I know once I say that line, it's like, if I get that laughter, okay, I convinced them.
Right.
So I guess that's my character. I just exaggerate, and hopefully it's believable, and it's not too much nonsense that they're just like, nah, this guy's full of shit,
Yeah, I think also with that joke, it's like, it's just a funny picture to picture,
Yeah.
You picked something that is not just out there, but you can almost picture it,
And if I can do that, if I put an image of myself, and I'm still trying to figure out how I should dress. Usually I dress like this, and that's kind of like how I go to work. But before I would go kind of very relaxed and chill, because after work I would want to change my clothing. But now I'm like, you know what? I'll just wear the same clothes I wore to work.
Yeah.
And hopefully this presents someone as, okay, you're going to take me seriously because I dress somewhat, casual attire.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, so this guy might have something important to say. That's what I think people might think. And then I get up there and they start hearing my nonsense. Like, this guy's full of it,
Right.
So if I could do that, I think that's great.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that bouncy house bit, I'm still trying to work on it. I think I have 3-4 tags on it, but
Yeah.
I think it could be better. This is more of a kind of brainstorming it.
You want to make it longer, or just start it
Yeah,
in a different
because
way?
there's a bit there that people don't laugh, and I realize people aren't getting it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so I got to say without saying it. That's what I heard some comedians say. You got to say it without saying it, because if you say it too literal, it's not funny.
Right.
But then I try to imply it, but it seems like no one else got it. But in my mind, I know what I'm trying to say. I'm like, I say it this way, but they're not getting it.
It's hard. There's times where I do jokes and it just goes over people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's fun. Occasionally I'll just explain the joke, on a rare occasion, and then also make a comment how you're not really supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. What I would suggest is I have a writing group on Saturdays. If you're free on Saturdays from 4 to 6 at Quantum Brewing, you should come.
Get there early and go up first too.
Yeah.
Bring some tables out.
trying to like encourage people, maybe get more time or go up early on the open mic if you come to the writing group.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. Each person has a joke that they're working on, and then you tell the joke, and then just doesn't have to be like you would tell it on stage. Even just what are the words, and then people just go around and give you if they have anything, advice or something. Excuse me. I do it every week, so it's helpful. Yeah.
I'll check it out for sure. Thanks.
Of course, yeah. Just anybody. You don't have to be a comic yet. You can also be just a fan of comedy and wanting to start writing jokes. Just come see. Try to bring some ideas, so that you can like share with the group and have people give you feedback, and then you'll see that it's hard, but also it's not. It's not. It's not gonna make something. Nothing's gonna explode. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Have you ever won a comedy contest or anything like that?
No. In fact, the open mics that I would do out in the desert, there were contests, but I never won. I think one time I got fourth place, but to me it was more of I have a real audience. They can give me instant feedback, and I know if this is funny. So that to me was rewarding enough. Yeah, it would have been nice to win, but again, I was just doing it for the experience. Again, you have an actual audience. The crowd, yeah.
So, okay, the other comics that were doing comedy where you were living, how were they getting stage time?
Some of them would, like, at the beginning, the first few that I met were from the desert, and they gave it a go out in LA. They were there for a couple of years, and then they came back. Others would come out of San Diego. So they I guess had to drive, and they would put in the work and drive to other places. I would say more than half were people like me who were like, well, let me give it a shot. You had a lot of first timers who you had, I don't know, like 4 months to prep something, and then you did it, So a lot of them were first timers, and then you got the people who are just kind of naturally gifted at speaking and being like engaging, and they would just go up there and riff, and like some of those people would have won because they're just, at least to me, they portrayed this guy's just going off on a tangent, but because it's like relatable things to living in the desert, people like loved it,
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
As opposed to me, where I try to write like a structured joke, set up and punch. That takes time, and people can't really relate to it, or they don't know what you're talking about. It's kind of like,
Right. Yeah, if you're doing local material,
Yeah.
you're going to do better.
Exactly.
But it's hard to do that nationally.
It is.
You can't do, unless like you just have enough experience in each place. You've lived all over the country.
Like,
oh, I'm in this place. I'm going to do this local material, and
like my tramp stamp bit, I do it out in the desert, and it kills because people can relate. And I do it here, and it's just okay, but it doesn't. The laughs are not as loud here as it is out in the desert.
Right.
But again, because people out there can relate to things being hot, like objects and metal, because it's 120 degrees and you touch something, and it's just like, it's burned. It's like, oof.
Right.
You got to put like a mitten sometimes to open the card handlers, things like that. So people can relate because when it gets that hot. But here, it gets 90, 95 or whatever, and it's hot, but I don't think people know what it's like to be somewhere consistently when it's like 115.
Yeah.
They might visit Vegas or the desert, and they're there for a couple of days. But when it's like that's all you grew up around, and I would say out in the desert.
Yeah, maybe if you added like a beginning part where, we were cooking some eggs on the sidewalk.
That too, like people do, you can do that, and like people would record it, especially on those green metal boxes. I don't know what they hold, some type of electrical stuff. You would see them out in the street, Like, you could throw an egg in there when it's 120 and it'll cook. So, but I'm sure that idea is taken. But one can work with something. That's.
I just mean just like a quick thing to show how hot it was.
Okay. See, I was trying to elaborate it now, saying that's where my mom cooked breakfast because why? For some reason, I have to give an answer why my mom would cook breakfast there, and hopefully that answer is ridiculous enough that people laugh.
Sure.
Like who would cook, eggs or breakfast on that. Someone would. But maybe the homeless because it's so hot. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see. So, how far have you gone for comedy?
How far have I gone?
Like, have you gone to LA now? Or?
Nah, I would probably say Quantum. It's the furthest I've been to.
There we go.
Chula Vista, they had one out there for a while. So that's the furthest I've gone.
Cool. So, what's your best booking story? Have you been booked on a show?
No, I haven't done any of that yet.
Okay. We're getting them fresh meat.
That'll be cool. That'll be nice.
So, do you do any other type of art?
I can play guitar,
Oh, okay.
but it's not like I consistently. I bought a guitar. I haven't played it since like March. So right now it's like a nice little piece in like my living room. You know, it's there.
Yeah.
It looks pretty. You know, but it's like that's it. But I can play it, but I just don't dedicate time to it.
All right.
So that's it. Any other art form? I can't paint. I can't draw. Can't do any of that.
Oh, that's fine. Let's see. So, what's the worst thing about comedy right now?
Personally, or just my view?
Just your view.
I don't know. If I had to pick something. I'm gonna attack it personally. I would say sometimes just not having like enough audience members. I remember one time at Quantum, it was mainly comics, and there was about 4 audience members. But this is again something that I learned from. And I noticed that they were kind of holding in the laughter because they didn't really want to laugh out loud. Because all the comics have heard my jokes, so they weren't laughing.
Right.
But these audience members, I could tell they wanted to laugh, but they weren't. So I'm like, what do I do? What do I say? Do I ask them a question? Do I like, hey, it's okay to laugh or let it out? I should have done that. I should have acknowledged them and like spoken to them.
Yeah, it's hard because I actually did that on Saturday, and it kind of interrupts your joke, because unless the joke is about laughing or somehow, So yeah, it's not easy. You gotta do it gently, because sometimes people just stop laughing altogether. They get all offended.
Yes, and now you mention that again. It's just the audience interaction, I would say. So there was this one place that started, doing open mics, and I took 2 guests, and I just met these girls about 2 hours ago. So and they were willing to go. So I'm thinking, cool, I'll take 2 audience members. Again, this is the first time I met those girls. So we went to that one venue that was doing an open mic, and then someone starts crowd working with them, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Stop it. First of all, they're the only audience members, and then they're 2 females, and this person was asking a question like, what's your safe word? And you could tell they were so uncomfortable that they got up and left. And then I get up and I chase after them, and I'm over here apologizing. I don't know they were going to say that. I'm sorry. It's my first time at this venue. This and this and that. Needless to say, they accepted my friend requests on Instagram, but they don't answer my messages. And I try to invite them to other shows, but I realize that's it. That ship sailed.
Right.
That's over. So I guess it's the audience, having a consistent audience, respecting the audience, working with the audience, and leaving them with the desire to, hey, come back, or hey, next time bring more friends. I guess that's the challenge.
Right. Yeah. Because the other comedian's not walking the people that you brought.
You make them walk away, walk out. That's it. And I don't think, they're going to hit up another open mic for a while. At least not if they see me there, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, what are you going to do? All right. So have you ever been in a car accident?
Yes, 2017. I had like a 2015 Dodge. What's that little black SUV? Anyway, yeah. It was the other guy's fault. I guess his brakes weren't working, so he T-boned me, which is good because I got out of that car payment. I liked the vehicle, but I was paying a lot, And you get to the point where like, why did I get this vehicle? Like, what am I trying to prove with this kind of like semi-new vehicle? So that was the only car wreck I had been on. But yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact model of the car. Dodge. I don't know. Nitro. The Dodge Nitro.
So it was just too expensive a car? You didn't like
No, I just realized I didn't really need it, but I got it. And I usually drive old junkers. I like driving old cars. They're easier to work on, and if they break down, they're not that expensive to fix anyway. But I had just gotten a job, and I had been making more money than I had ever made with my other little part-time jobs. So it was kind of like my first real full-time job, so I bought that vehicle. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. But then, again, 2017, and car payments back then was like probably $500.
Dang.
And then you're like, well, I don't really need the car. I had another car at the time. It was a 94 Camry, which I just recently sold last year. I sold it with 350,000 miles. Toyotas run forever. So I had that car, which was reliable, but I just wanted to prove something to someone or myself that I need a newer, better car. Right. So that was my only car wreck. I'm glad the insurance totaled it. I think it was going to be like $12,000 to fix, and they said no.
Right.
Because it was a 4-wheel drive. But yeah, that was the only car wreck I've been.
Wow. And so you didn't get hurt?
No, I didn't get hurt whatsoever.
That's good. All right, cool. So do you have merch?
No, I don't have merch.
You thinking about merch? Little bouncy houses?
That's a good one. I didn't think about it. That's a good one. Maybe we're going to get like a little 3D printed bouncy house. You're right. I didn't think about it that way. And I think I never thought about it because I look at merch from comedians and it's like their face on a shirt or on a hat. I'm like, who's going to want to have my name or my face on a shirt or hat?
Yeah, you definitely got to find something that...
That's why you got to think outside the box. And right now, I'd never thought about making a little bouncy house. Maybe I could do that, you know?
Or even just like stickers.
Yeah.
A little sticker of a bouncy house.
Hey, thank you for the idea. I'll look into it. You know, have someone design it, you know, print out a couple samples, and give them out. Yeah.
Yeah, like there could even be a clip art of a bouncy house, right? And just modify it enough to where you make it your own.
Yeah, that's true. Well, thanks for the
of course,
the insight. A bouncy house sticker.
Yeah, I just did some stickers, and they're gonna come. So hopefully, and then you should do a donation.
Excuse me? Donation?
Donation, yeah, because if you set a price.
I've
heard this from multiple comics. Like, if you just set a price, then people don't really want to give you the money. But if you say, "Oh, this is a donation," and then, "Oh, how much did you know?" Sometimes you'll be like, "Oh, it cost me $1 to make it," so usually they'll give you more than $1.
I did see a guy who had a bottle opener and he had his name on it, so I thought that was clever. But it's not like his jokes related or had anything to do with drinking, but it was just like, that's a useful little item that you could put in your keychain and you'll always remember that person. So in that type of marketing situation, I thought that's smart. Because like, oh, who's this guy? I don't know. And let's say you pass it around to your friends and you lose it. Someone will look you up. Oh, let me look up so-and-so. Oh, okay.
It's like their handle?
Yeah, I guess. So yeah, that's so cool. That was cool. But yeah, I'll look into it. I'll think about it more.
Yeah, it's just fun, you know. Don't have to expect to make a bunch of money. Just.
And I guess more than anything, is just getting your name out there too, having people remember you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll see some comics that would come down from LA and they have their stickers, and I'm like that's clever, you know. So.
Yeah, look right here. You got Tortuga. Frankie Gonzalez.
Oh, okay.
See everybody? That's a sticker. You know, I got a few other stickers I still got to put on this. You know, for a while I was like, oh, I don't really have any place to put stickers anymore. You know, don't have a lunchbox or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait a minute, my water bottle. So I had another water bottle that had more stickers on it, and I just kind of retired it.
Now I'm thinking, why not fridge magnets? Those were popular back in the day.
Actually, I'm getting some stickers, fridge magnets, and then coasters for like drinks.
That's good.
You know, there's like cork, And then the last one is like this packing tape that has, they all have comedy or worse on it, and the packing tape goes over and over and over again.
Smart.
So it's like, that's going to be cool. I don't know if I'm not shipping anything directly right now, although I do want to make like little charm necklaces or bracelets
with pretzels.
Yeah, like say I love pretzels or something.
But actually, little pretzels, maybe, I don't know. Well, that's too much.
I gotta see what's out there.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend a bunch of money for these custom beads and make the price go crazy. Sure. I mean, in the future, it'd be like ultimately, it would be nice to have like the outfit that I have. That's pretzels. It's font that has a bunch of pretzels stacked up to make the letters.
Oh,
so
right,
if I could have that as a bead, that'd be super awesome. But
I think
don't have it.
Well, might have to look around for a bit. You never know. But the magnet thing is a good idea because right now I'm thinking. You said I'm running out of place to put stickers. Most people put them on the car window, on the back window, on the side, or whatever. But I'm thinking even a magnet might stay on the car. I don't know. Like a fridge magnet, is it compatible? Who knows? Or maybe people can put it on their cars.
I think as long as you don't try to put it on the window. Put it on some metal.
And it'll stick. And if they get tired of it, I'll just put it on the fridge. Put it on the fridge.
Yeah.
So, someone has a man cave downstairs, a little fridge, put it on that one.
Yeah, although a magnet on a car might come off like when you wash your car or something.
Yeah, true.
I'll have to look into that. Let's see. What else should we talk about? So, what do you do for work?
I work in HR for a nonprofit out in East County.
Okay.
So the way I tell people about it, I just babysit adults. That's all I do. I just interact with people, hear their complaints. And I always have to be very professional at work. So in essence, it works that I try to do jokes in the evening because sometimes I just want to be not professional. Especially when I talk to some of these people and the things they say, I'm like, wow, really? You just kind of want to like go off on them, but you can't. You got to be respectful, polite, professional at all times. So I do that.
I don't think I could do that. I wish I would have realized I was a comedian sooner because like working in an office environment, you're just making jokes, and it's like
I can't do that either.
It's like doesn't work.
Yeah, and I always used to be kind of like that person who, in my other job, people would always tell me, "Oh, you're funny. Oh, that's funny," or whatever, because you would make these like just witty statements based on what's happening. But here you can't do any of that. You keep it to yourself.
Right.
So I guess that's one of the downsides. But
yeah, I guess you could just save it and say it on stage.
Yeah, but then it's like because it was so in the moment related to that instance, it's like it's totally not funny.
Well, I mean,
if you tell the story, maybe.
Tell the story.
Yeah.
Get into storytelling.
And that's another thing I've been thinking about doing, like becoming more of a storyteller, because I don't tell stories on stage. I tell jokes, and again, they're fabricated stories that might have a hint of truth to it, but they're not stories. And I think I'm not a storyteller because most of the comedians I listen to, like, I just like jokes. Like I listen to the older comedians like Ronnie Dangerfield.
Well, yeah, you don't ever have to change your style.
Yeah, but like I'll try to listen to these new specials that are out there for like certain comedians that I hear their names being said, and they're popular, they're big comedians out there now. And I'll be like 5 minutes in, and I might have had like 2-3 chuckles. I'm like, wow, like I guess their style is not for me. But look at the audience, look at how big and popular they are. They're big. But I'm like, I don't know, I'm not a storyteller. It's just like I can't be engaged. I guess I have a short attention span.
Yeah.
I need to set up and punch, and that keeps me laughing and engaged. But that's just
well, maybe you'll be able to figure out a way to have a story, but still have lots of laughs.
That's a challenge to do. Like have a story and then try to plug in, jokes in that story.
Yeah, maybe if you're telling the story and then have the exaggeration could be like what you're thinking. Like, oh yeah, this guy's telling me this really serious story about what Bob said to him, but he doesn't realize like his hair is sticking up, and it's very distracting, or something.
Like right now, I'm thinking about
he doesn't realize that Bob had every right to say that because this guy's a jerk or what,
Yeah, it's just a matter of trying to, just again. If I find it hard to keep my attention span, imagine like the audience, like you just really have to be engaged.
Yeah, that's why I bring in the exaggeration of what you're thinking.
And that is a challenge because I think that's more work to do. It's easier to come up with an idea, set up and punch, and try to add like 2 or 3 tags. To me, that's easy, but it has to be effective and it has to be consistent.
Yeah, with shorter jokes, then I get into my head about joke order, because you're doing 7 jokes. What's the best order? It's like it starts to get like there's too many.
And the problem with me is that
there's jokes that flow one into another, or it's like a story where you have.
It's trial and error too. Where would this bit fit better? Before or after this?
Yeah.
And to me, it's also like I don't know. I'm just weird like this. Like my jokes are like I have to memorize them word for word. Because if I don't, I feel like I lose myself up there, and then I'm just rambling, and I totally butcher it. So I really have to get the wording and the rhythm correctly.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I have to I write them out. I write on the set multiple times. Like I just write it out like by hand.
Sure.
Like I'll type it up and I print it, and then I use that to write it out.
Oh, okay.
And then that's how
I think
go.
I gotta do that with my. I'm having trouble remembering the lyrics to this new song I'm doing, and I was like trying to practice it and get off script, and it's like I'm just not ready for that yet.
And it's time consuming because when I do that, for example, on a Saturday day, during the day, I have this bit that I'm working on, and it happens that sometimes I realize it takes more time. Let's say I came up with it on Thursday or Friday, and I'm gonna want to do it Saturday. If I haven't really gotten the flow of it, no matter how many times I write it, I won't memorize it because I felt like I was forcing myself. I have to do it gradual. So just write it out throughout the week, or embed it in the rest of the jokes that I want to do, so it's natural and just free flowing. But it's interesting the way the brain works. At least the way I try to make my brain work, with memorizing a certain joke with a certain sentence. And then sometimes I do deviate, and I realize when I listen to it again, and then I compare it to my notes, and I'm like, okay, so if my mind on stage was going this direction, I gotta edit it, I gotta modify it, because just naturally it went that way, and it worked. People laughed.
There's a difference between what you'll write down and what you'll say.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting.
But for the most part, if I can remember it as is, that's how I say it. And then based on the audience reaction, my recordings, and how the flow, because a lot of the times I'm too wordy, and then it loses the rhythm, or I'll just kind of lose myself. Was I gonna say end up or usually? But I said usually 3 jokes ago, and then I've seen usually written so many times in my set. I got to get rid of usually. I got to put another, most of the time. So I got to add most of the times. Okay, most of the time, and then which one goes? I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. There's been times too where listening back to other people's jokes, and they're 2 years ago, and then you see them do a joke, and they're 2 years ago, and I'm like, I know it's all fake, but that's distracting. It has to be 3 years ago now.
I know, yeah. Yeah.
Which is just silly. No one else is going to know that.
That's true.
Excuse me. So how do people get a hold of you on social media?
Social media. I'm on Instagram, Raul_Villaseñor. I'm on Facebook too. My name. There's a picture with me. It has 4 little pictures where I'm smiling differently. But I would say Instagram is probably a good way to do so. So Raul_Villaseñor. You can find me there. I actually recently, updated my name because I had some just random stuff. I'm like, how are people going to remember that, And you realize when you start going to different venues and people interact, or someone hosts a certain, open mic, and you got to give them something that's easy for them to type and remember. Because I had combination of English and Spanish and numbers. Like, that's too confusing. You're gonna lose people. So that's what I came up with.
Cool.
On the gram.
That's right. Got to get it. So is there anything else that you want to talk about?
I'm an open book. But
You're an open book?
I'm an open book. We'll write the story as we go.
Whoa. That's crazy.
I'll lie if I have to,
So how did you fall into your HR job?
Oh, that's an interesting story. So 10 years ago, I got laid off from my agriculture job.
Yeah.
So I would spend time in Salinas, about 7-8 months, and about 4 months in the desert. And it was one of those things that I knew they were going to let me go because it just got so slow and there was very little to do. And then I'm like, you just kind of have that feeling. And sure enough, they called me into the office, hey, we're letting you go. Well, okay. So then I was unemployed. But I found a job out in the desert that was paying me under the table, so it was great. I was getting unemployment, and then I was getting, an extra...
Allegedly.
An extra couple $100 a week.
Allegedly. He's a comedian. Now he's telling us a story.
The story. I'm trying to do the story.
It's the story version.
Jokes now. And I did that for a while, and it was great. For 6 months, I was getting unemployment. And then I kind of liked that. And then I decided to go back to school, so I did a master's online. Very broad, general subject. But I think it helped me get into HR. I really do. So I did like a year and a half of that master's online. And then I just needed work after that. So I started applying for like everything and anything. I realized I got to get a real job now. I got to do something. So this was 2017 now? Yeah, that's when I got let go. So 2018, that's when I finished my master's. A year and a half. And I actually applied for this HR entry-level job in Borrego Springs. Again, I was living in Brawley. And for the first year I commuted, I was driving an hour and 10 one way.
Jeez.
That's dedication, Because there's hardly any work in the desert. Hence, that's why I'm here now in San Diego. I'm always moving around every couple of years. So I did that for a while. Then COVID hit. And then the place where I used to work at in Borrego Springs got raided by the FBI because it was also a nonprofit. So that place was like pretty much going down. It's cursed by now, And I remember that day because the accounting department came into the HR department. Hey, the FBI is here. You're like, what? And sure enough, you start seeing them like come through our door now, or like jiggling the door, and it was locked. And then they start coming in through the back door, and we probably have about 20 different agents, and they gather everyone in the big conference room. So I have a file with the FBI. DOJ now. You had to take out your driver's license, you had to fill out a paper, your name, your title, and they took a picture with your ID in the paper. Like everyone got a picture taken.
Wow.
So then, because there's a lot of fraud going on in that organization from the top management. And then I realized that's my cue to leave. I got to look for something.
Right.
So I found another HR job in Brawley. So I went from being like an HR coordinator to being like an HR supervisor in Brawley. And again, this was during the pandemic, so it was kind of like hybrid work, and it was great because you're at home and making okay money, and you're not spending money on gas and all that. And out there, rent was cheap, at least prior to the pandemic. I left, Brawley. I used to pay $500 for a little trailer, everything included. It was beautiful, it's gorgeous, Yeah. To come out here and pay $2,000 for a 1-bedroom, and you're like, oh man. But again, that job where I was at, they were nice enough to tell me, hey, we're going to give you 6 months, but we're limiting your position. You're like, what? After like 2.5 years of being there.
Right.
So then now I'm on the hunt again. I'm looking for jobs. And I realized I probably have to leave, Imperial County and go to San Diego or, Arizona. We'll see what's out there.
Yeah.
So I was looking for 4 months, and it was a tough market. It took 4 months for me to get a job offer. That's why I compared dating and like getting a job. It's like it's challenging, and you're like, you put yourself out there, you go on all these dates. Like I did probably like 5 different interviews. Some interviews I did like 3 interviews, and I thought I'm gonna get a job offer, and then they ghost you. You're like, what the heck? It's just like, it's tough out there. And eventually I got the one I had, and I really didn't think I was gonna get called to interview because I felt I lacked some of the experience and qualifications that they were wanting. But I said, you know what? I'm going to shoot my shot anyway. What's the worst that can happen? They won't call me for an interview? I don't care.
Right.
So then like 2 months go by, and then I get a call from them, and I didn't remember them because I applied to so many. So I'm talking to the guy, and I'm going back through my emails trying to see, okay, San Diego, Cajon. oh, is this okay? Yeah, I'm interested. I'll go for the interview. So I did that. And then a week later, they call me again. Hey, are you interested in a second interview? I'm like, yeah. But I don't want to get my hopes up because, again, I've done multiple interviews for a position that I never got. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, I'll go again. And then I went again. And then, friends and family ask, oh, so how did it go? And I'm thinking, oh, I think it went well, but, I can say that about any job. Sure. And based on their reaction and body language, I'm thinking, I'm in. This is great. But then that's not a sign for them to,
telling you. They might have another candidate.
Yeah. Again, same thing with dating. I'll go on 3 dates and we're vibing, we're having cool, it's getting physical, and you're thinking, this is it. Eventually I'm gonna hit a home run. And then, bam, ghosted. Yeah. And then you're like, same thing. These gals have different candidates and different people that are interacting. Eventually, one, they take the lead. They got the job. They're like, you were close, buddy, but this guy got it, and now back to square one. So that's how it was. And then I went to that second interview. That same day, they called me, hey, are you interested in the job? I'm like, yeah. Okay, cool. And then I started the process. So it's almost a year ago, November of last year, that I started working for that company, that organization, and I'm happy. It's a great gig. That's why, I'll tell some people around, and they tell me, they'll say something like, all right, dude, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I tell people, I do this for fun, the comedy thing, but I'm okay with my job, that I would never try to leave that secure, well-paying job to be a struggling comic. And people will tell me, oh, way to ruin our parade, really? You got to be that guy? I'm sorry, but I guess, but yeah, because, I have fun with comedy, but yeah, I don't think I would ever pursue it full time, if I could get good at it and get book shows here and there, I think that's sufficient for me. It keeps me moving and going. Yeah. But I guess that's that.
It's not as expensive as a hobby.
It's not skydiving. That's the thing. You might have to buy a drink or two. What's $5-10 every now and then? Yeah. Sometimes I don't buy anything, but I still get up there. Yeah. But yeah, what's a couple bucks? Or sometimes I'll throw $2-3 in the donation here and there. So it's kind of it's a cheaper hobby.
Well, I would definitely. I don't want any comics having to pay for stage time, but just know that the donations to Quantum Brewing go to advertising, and the advertising works.
Yeah.
So
I've seen it work firsthand.
Everybody,
it works.
Bring people that will help us pay for advertising, but if nobody's tipping, please tip so we can keep the advertising going.
Speaking of advertising and getting people out there, since I moved here, the first 7 months I just concentrated on my work, trying to learn it the best I can, and working alongside the guy that I was going to replace because he retired, so I was taking over his job. Yeah. And I didn't really do much hanging out or going out. For the first 7 months, I didn't interact with anyone. I was just from work, my apartment. That was it. Yeah. So I realized, I got to get out there. I'm getting bored now of not socializing or meeting people. So Instagram showed me this reel for an app called Time Left. So I figured, you know what? I'll give it a try. Okay. Time Left. So you sign up. It's $20 a month, and each Wednesday you get to meet other people for dinner, complete strangers, different places of San Diego. So I did that for a while. I think I did about 7 or 8 dinners since July. Mm-hmm. And it was an interesting social experiment because you would get to the restaurant, you tell the host or the waiter, the waitress, I'm here for Time Left, table 2. That's what's on the app. So then they walk you to the table and you meet 5 other strangers, and that's the first time you're interacting. You get to know them, and you just have dinner. Just very simple type of hangout. Yeah. No real pressure of anything. And then, to me, it became interesting because ideally, you want to connect with people, guys and girls, build friendship or maybe something more, whatever the case might be. But then I realized this is a great marketing, opportunity. Because people, they start promoting their own business or whatever it is that they do. I'm a tattoo artist, I'm in real estate, and you're like, So then eventually, once, you start having dinner and talking, everyone's talking, you have fun, whatever. I tell them, I started doing open mic comedy here in San Diego. And then some people would say, I could tell, yeah, you're funny, or this and this and that. And then I'm here trying to recruit these people. Hey, we'll add me on the Instagram. We'll be in touch. And I've had a couple of people show up to some of the open mics here and there.
Okay, cool.
That's how I met those two girls that I was talking about that I took to a venue, because it was literally like 2 blocks away from the restaurant to the venue.
Wow.
But needless to say, I haven't heard from them since. But nevertheless, it's just a numbers game like anything. So you just go out there. I try to stay in touch with these people. No pressure. Like, you guys can come there, open mic, bring some friends.
Okay,
That'd
so
be
you
great.
recommend that?
Yeah, I recommend that they come to the open mics.
You recommend that service, time lapse?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I'm
There's
not.
also like Meetup.
Yeah, I'm looking into that.
Meetup, you don't have
You
to
have to
pay
pay?
anything. Well, unless you are organizer. I pay for my Meetup group.
Yeah, that's a different avenue. So Time Limit was interesting. Again, I haven't done it like about 3 weeks, and I'm thinking I'm gonna take a break from it, because it's just a lot of. To me, I think it's work sometimes. You got to get ready. You got to be your best. You got to smell good. You got to interact with strangers and leave a good impression. So hopefully, they want to interact with you and they come down to a comedy show and not say anything stupid or inappropriate or behave in such a way like, oh, this guy's an ass. Because in those 7-8 dinners that I had, like, they're all positive. I would say they're positive experiences. You still have to pay for your dinner though, so you're paying $20 a month plus your dinner each week. So it's kind of like, but at least you try new restaurants, different restaurants. So you're like, oh, that's a good restaurant. That was good. I like that. But overall,
are the restaurants like reasonably priced, or?
I would say about $40-$50 for one person.
Damn.
Yeah, mainly North Park. I stuck to North Park. I know they do it here in downtown and La Jolla, but I never went, mainly because it was too far. I live in El Cajon, so I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to.
Yeah, I don't work on an office job anymore. I don't think I'm going to do that.
Yeah, so maybe Meetup is better. I'm going to try the Meetup one.
Yeah, Meetup has like, you can go on hikes and board games and like anything you would think, or
just to
one
socialize.
for comedy.
Yeah.
I have the comedy Meetup one, San Diego Comedy Live. Yeah.
So the thing with that Time Left, granted, it's not promoted as a dating site, so you can't go with that expectation.
Right.
But I have 3 dates from like 7-8 dinners that I've done that I met with them afterwards on our own and had dinner. But I guess one of the reasons why I'm also taking a break, because like I said, it takes work, and then I found it very hard, either guys or girls, to like meet or build an actual connection with someone. Like, I wouldn't say I've made a friend yet. I've gone on dates, but again, that just kind of just fizzles out, and that's it. You don't hear back from them.
Right.
So it's very like, I guess if you just want to have dinner with other people and hang out and talk to people, that's good. But again, after 7-8 dinners, I'm failing to see like an actual connection with either gender for like a real friendship, something that's meaningful. Right. So then you're wondering, well, why am I putting all this effort and paying $20 a month and then spending another $50 on dinner?
Yeah.
Like, I'm good. I'm sure there's other ways to meet people, Because another thing that happens is you might interact and exchange like information, social media, numbers or whatever, but then you just don't hear back from them. So it's kind of like, at least when you go on a date, you know what it's like to get ghosted by one person. But now imagine being ghosted by like 5 other people. Like, it's happened. Like, you interact and you send messages, guys or girls, hey, let's do something, or what are you doing, or this and that. They don't respond, so you're like, I guess that's what it is. But yeah, like, I would recommend people to try that app. And more than anything, I realize also it's good for travelers. There's a lot of people that are traveling for business and work, for pleasure, and they do that dinner, and they just want to meet people from here. So sure. I met up for dinner with a lot of people from like abroad. They're just here for a couple of days or a week or so. So cool. You meet other people from different parts of the world. So it's an interesting app.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm not getting paid for that, so.
Yeah, I would recommend Meetup. You can just look, just about anything. People are, meeting up. I mean, sometimes you have to pay. There's like with the board game group, there's we get like a table, and that costs a little bit of money. But it was like $2.50. It's just or like if you meet up at a movie theater, then you have to pay for the movie, obviously.
Reminds me of that Facebook group. I guess there's a couple Facebook groups called San Diego 20s, San Diego 30s, San Diego 40s. Right. I'm in the San Diego 30s, and I'll see the posts. I haven't interacted with anyone there. I haven't gone to any of the activities, but like I'll see them, and yeah, there's people promoting like paddleboarding, or in fact, I was talking to one guy from the Time Left dinner, see that guy was funny, and he wasn't trying to be funny, like just the way he told the story. So he was saying that. Because we started talking about the different apps to meet people, and he said, "Oh, like I've been on that Facebook group. Oh yeah, how was your experience?" Well, actually, yesterday at 6 a.m., I met up with a couple of people. out in like Mission, whatever beach it is, like at 6 a.m. What for? Oh, like a cold dunking. Like, really? Like, yeah. And like, what'd you learn? Like, I learned I'm too old. He said, like, what do you mean? Like, it's too cold. Like, I went up to my ankles and that was it. And like, most of the people were like younger than me. They're like in their late 20s, early 30s. And like, they were having a blast and they were getting like wet and like all that. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I would do that. Like I personally wouldn't. And then the guy says something like, well, at least I got 2 Instagrams from like 2 of the hot girls there. I'm like, well, I guess that's good, but like, at least I know that's not something you could do with them. You're not gonna jump in the water with them.
Right.
Yeah, I know. Like my knee hurts sometimes, and I think it's the cold. It's just kind of like. Right. But yeah, I guess there's that group too. But or I see people promote, like, oh, I'm having like a paint class. You can bring bring your own beer or whatever. I'm like, well, man, I could do that, paint and like talk to people. But like, I'm not a painter, so like, why am I forcing myself to do something I'm not really interested in?
You definitely should try and meet up
and at least the time left. I like to eat. You can tell I like to eat. So I'm like, oh, I'm eating. So like, you're meeting people, hanging out with people.
Sure, that there's a group. Or you just like there's like a dancing one.
I don't dance,
but
maybe. And I don't play board games. See, I'm a very boring type of person. So food is my thing. So if I could do food,
I mean, there might be a
like music,
group,
maybe. Yeah, for music.
There might be a group that will fit you. But, music or I don't know if there's anything. Or there's single groups too.
Yeah, that too. But then I realized I'm too picky. Like, here's my other story. I did this blind dating like about a month ago, North Park, and I go with an open mind. Like, what am I trying to find? I really don't know. A girlfriend, a partner, perhaps. Settle down and have kids, eventually. Why not? So then I go to this blind date with. There's no host. It's all via the app, and then you get there and it tells you what to do. And all of a sudden, once I get there, it's like a scene of a horror movie. I'm like, and I'm one of them. I'm one of these freaks. People in their 30s. They can't get any dates. They're single. Like, it is what it is. And then at first, I won't tell you people's names. I'll just say, look for the girl who's wearing, and it's her description: red dress, black hair, ponytail, whatever. Right. And then you approach her. Oh, hi, I'm so and so. Oh, hey, nice to meet you. So then you sit across each other. And so you're going to meet, I met like 6 women, and you have like 8 minutes to talk, and there's like a prompt question. So you can address that question, answer it, and then just talk about anything else. And you got a timer on the app. So I did that, And you talk to all these girls, and then you're kind of like, you want to keep an open mind. Because I'm no Brad Pitt, I'm no Leonardo DiCaprio. So it's kind of like, well, it is what it is. We'll just talk, have fun. And then you interact with everyone, all the girls. And then at the end, you get to rate them on the app, yes or no.
Right.
And then you know what? I'm gonna click yes on everyone. F it, because most of these girls, there's probably one that I'm like, yeah, she's cute, she's pretty. I would hang out with her again. All the other ones are like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm getting old. So you click yes on them, and then the following day, in 24 hours, you get an email, and the email said no matches, and you're like, what? That fat chick said no to me. She was fatter than me. Like, really? I'm like, come on. Like, I think I lowered my expectations, but I think the women there like kind of like raised it. I think they were really thinking they were gonna find, these model type guys. I'm like, nah, you're not gonna find those guys at the dating sites. They don't need help trying to meet women. They got multiple women. And some of the girls I was interacting with, you could tell they had just given up and they were upset about the choice of men that were there. Because you're trying to dialogue and conversate with them, and they were just like, their body language and facial expression just told you, like, I'm over this. And I was like, that's hard, trying to keep a conversation with someone does not want to be there, does not want to have a conversation. So that was also a lot of work. But I also feel that all these social experiments of meeting people, it helps, at least with stand-up, because you're interacting with strangers, but you don't have to be funny. Like, you can try to be engaging, but you don't have to make them laugh. Yeah. So if anything, I guess all those, again, has helped me kind of just talk to other people, just put myself out there, interact with them. But yeah, it was would I do that again, that blind date?
Right. I think
probably
it's
not.
Too much pressure, right? Like,
especially for the women.
The time left seems a better approach.
It is, because it's not a dating venue, and they don't advertise it as that. Like, when it comes to that, blind dates, women there, they're kind of in your age range, so it's kind of like I know they're being picky because in their minds, I'm running out of time. So whoever I choose, it's probably the person who I'm gonna like build an actual relationship, potentially have a family. So they're like, their expectations are here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't know, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it's just a difference between men and women. Men can have kids at
Much later.
almost at any age.
But that's the thing. I'm 35. I think if I make it to 40 and I don't have children, I don't think I'll probably want to have children because then I'm gonna be hella old when they're like 20. You know, like, am I gonna have energy to chase them when I'm like 42, 43, and you got to play and interact with them? You know?
Well, I mean, I've helped raise kids as an uncle. You get more energy.
Oh, okay.
It puts more energy into you. I mean, unless you're having like health problems.
Yeah.
You know,
But
if you have some kind of other thing going on, you know. But
we'll see. Yeah. So when it comes to that,
anyway,
it's been fun meeting random strangers and just trying to interact with them.
yeah. But I would definitely recommend the meetup.
meetup?
Just search whatever. Music or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be dancing or board games. You know, stuff that you don't want to do. Yeah. Or even just like a single groups, because you don't have to pay, and then you can just pick the event that sounds fun, and then there's no pressure. It's just a singles group.
Yeah.
You're mostly just hanging around talking about your life
Anything and everything. Yeah.
almost kind of like more like time left, with but
For sure.
anyway.
There's
Yeah.
potential out there. You just gotta find something.
Yeah, exactly. Just as much as you want, energy and money you put into it. Yep. Alrighty, so I think this is a good place to stop.
I'm
Thanks
good
so
with
much
that.
for doing
Thank you.
the podcast.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. It's been a
So-
long time coming. Like, let's tell the story about the last time. It was probably about 2 months ago, hit or miss. And we scheduled it. I scheduled it. I agreed to go there. But for some reason, I wasn't reading my emails properly. And I confused this venue with another venue up in, kind of like Kearney Mesa area. So then I get to that venue, and then I don't see any cars outside. So I figured, you know what? Let me actually read my emails, not just look at them. And I read them, and I realize, oh, I'm at the wrong place.
Yeah.
And then after that email, I see Aaron's email. It says, hey, sorry, I have to cancel. I'm like, oh, it works great because I was going to have to cancel. I can't make it downtown like in 5 minutes. So it was great. So eventually we made it happen. So, yeah.
That's cool. All right, so we'll end this episode and then we'll just do a quick promo.
Okay, how do we go?